Now, it's about the basic bodily functions that a ghost can trigger. Itching is an interesting way for them to torment and control us. It's also called the little brother of pain. Triggering itching costs practically no energy, and karmically it can be applied quite cheap. That means the consequences are kept within narrow limits. A spirit can create pain anywhere in the body. Unnecessary pain that doesn't serve a purpose, just to bother and weaken us. Of course, there should be a pretext, for example, an inflammation, rheumatism, or a corn. The sensitivity to pain can also be increased up to an absolute maximum. Most people assume sensitivity to pain to be at least similar in general. Vice versa, a spirit can also ensure that you have little or no pain. Yawning can be used to let people feel exhausted and rest. In a conversation, a yawning person seems to be bored and not interested. Yawning seems infectious, but that may just be a reaction of spirits in others, perhaps a sign of solidarity or humor. A ghost can expel phlegm through the nose at any time. Our diet accumulates mucus that should be excreted sooner or later. A spirit can decide about that. He can do it gradually in small or large amounts and intervals, creating an illness such as a cold or coryza. A healthy person would supposedly swallow about 2000 times a day, but that's not what it has to be. You can get along very well with a lot less. It is very well possible to suppress this so-called reflex and reduce the number drastically. Excluding food and drink, I swallow maybe 5 to 10 times an hour and I'm fine with it. With effort, I've already managed not to swallow for 20 or 30 minutes. I've given up the habit of swallowing so often, and my suspicion is that many spirits have a swallow addiction. Of course, a ghost can also make you choke or sneeze. That way, for example, a false allergy can be generated. I am still not sure if allergy is a real illness. Simulating electrosensitivity is, of course, also an option for evil spirits to fool us. Ghosts also have the ability or even the task of taking care of the elimination of excess gases from the digestive tract. That means flatulence. You may have noticed this happens occasionally or more often almost by itself. You know that, and things like that happen sometimes. This seems beyond our control. Appropriately, here in Germany, there is a statement that something would have slipped out, but it's not like this. In fact, a spirit was responsible for squeezing out these gases. He can also control this in terms of time and quantity, and sometimes conjure up something surprisingly. Eyes can experience various unpleasant sensations, like the well-known feeling of a grain of sand or a pain, normal or stabbing. Also, the cornea can itch and the eyes can burn like acid. Nausea, coughing, hunger, thirst, appetite. Now you know why some people find it so easy to reach and maintain a normal weight, while others struggle on it. Balance can be disturbed, causing dizziness, the feeling of falling, the feeling of inner tension, a pulling, typically in the legs, also called restless leg syndrome, or even in the whole body, which is quite uncomfortable. Sensations are a very popular, efficient tool. For example, a tingling, shiver, pinch, irritation of the mucous membranes, cold and warmth, heat, burning, wetness, or the feeling of insects sitting, wandering, or crawling on the skin. A person might freeze without reason. Warmth can weaken a person, and the weaker, the stronger the spirit. Cooler is better. Coldness can be made feel painful. A ghost can also ensure that there is a high risk of cramping. To do this, he directly intervenes in the tension of certain muscle groups, which can quickly lead to cramps if you are not careful. If that happens and the person doesn't suspect anything, according to karmic laws, it's their own fault. Another phenomenon familiar to many people meditating. Legs becoming numb. Usually people think this is caused by seed, whey, clothing, or agility. For a long time, I thought the blood supply was cut off. But no, it's a nerve thing, and it can be created artificially by a spirit. You may have wondered why you must go to the toilet at specific times. In fact, that's also controlled. For example, if no toilet is expected for a long time, it makes sense to let a person do it earlier. The bladder usually holds a lot more than one would think. Check yourself the fluid accumulated painless at sleep and how pain in the bladder suddenly sets in, like someone flipped a switch. A ghost may send a person to the toilet far more often than necessary, or even for nothing, just to bother, who humiliate a person and to push his ego to gain power and happiness. Possibly while bending over, bones dislocate, causing tension and pain. This can also be created artificially. This list is certainly incomplete by far. Take a deep look at all this and overthink. You will realize the enormous amount of power spirits have. This power increases with the amount of energy they can use to enforce their interventions. Energy they procure, for example, through our food, breathing, emotionality, or sexuality. There is a lot that could be said about what to do about it. Just a few words at this point. Try to drive them out in the name of Jesus Christ by commanding them to go. Success depends on strength, character of the spirit, and the reason for its presence, but also on our strength of faith and spiritual maturity. Alternatively, one can also invoke God or another master. Of course, there is no guarantee for success. A ghost might leave but return soon. Then maybe even with attachments or a portion of energy that allows him to attack powerfully, defend himself better, and so on. If you want your house to be clean, watch your habits. Avoid things that support or attract evil spirits. Prefer what good spirits like. Try to clean yourself. Maintain and strengthen your connection to the divine. Try to clean your soul. Maintain and strengthen your connection to the divine. Stay away from things like alcohol, drugs, cigarettes. Restrict yourself sexually. Strive to live an alert, active, healthy life and be positive. So also loving, virtuous. Work on your mind to be good. Choose the path of the good. Make up your mind what it means to be good. There is no guarantee that you will get rid of such problems so soon. They might even get bigger with your spiritual progress and efforts. But you have good chances to improve your position. A spiritually advanced person with such issues gets a lot more help. Thank you for listening.